when you have immense inequality, when you have people struggling, when you have 2/3 of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, and of course, a large percentage of them not living paycheck to paycheck at all. They can't even pay for shit. They're below paycheck to paycheck. When you have this breathtaking inequality, you inevitably have a lot of crime. You inevitably have a lot of theft because people are trying to survive. They're trying to get by. They don't know another way to do it. There's a lot of, for example, fare jumping in New York City. I lived in New York City for 12 years. There's a lot of people, usually younger people, because it takes a bit of acrobatics, but there's a lot of fare jumping where people go and they just literally propel themselves over the turnstile. They jump over the turnstile. And even if there's someone in a booth somewhere, which, by the way, they've gotten rid of, yet again, capitalism, we need profit in all areas. They've gotten rid of most of the booths. So literally there's no one, if you need help or information, there's no one around. So there's no one watching a lot of these stalls. And these kids usually under 30, because otherwise you got to sprain something. You know, you try and jump over those turnstiles. You're like, yeah, I got this. Oh, my knee. Like every time. So it is younger people. And why would they do that? Why would they jump over these turnstiles without paying? Well, probably because they have zero money and they're trying to get home. And really, in a functioning society, getting people around should come with being a citizen of that society. It should just be like, yep, you can go and around. We will help you get to work or to school. Anyway, in New York, they have spent it's the NYPD, but the NYPD isn't the one that came up with this idea. So really, it's the political leadership in New York. The NYPD spent $150 million last year to catch fare beaters, fare jumpers, who cost the MTA, cost the city of New York $104,000 a year. They spent $150 million to make up and arrest those costing them $104,000. Now, of course, this is financially idiotic. If you're gonna spend $150 million on catching fare jumpers, here's an idea. How about have anybody who walks up to you and says, I can't afford to pay, you just let them through? Because it would cost you about $104,000 a year. And you, it would cost you more than that, but it certainly probably costs you less than $150 million. But rather than do that, rather than say, hey, if you're having a tough time and you don't have money, you can just ride the train for free. Rather than do that, they have spent $150 million to catch and prosecute these fare beaters. I don't know what kind of punishment they give them. I assume it's usually, unless they find something else. And look at them celebrating it. Here they are with their little plaques, so excited that they caught all those fare beaters. Overtime pay for the cops in New York City subway system increased from $4 million to $155 million in 1 year. That extra $150 million, a nearly 4,000% cost increase, and the result of adding 1,000 additional cops to patrol the subway system bought us a whopping 2% decrease in major crime, amounting to a total of 48 fewer serious crimes like murder, rape, and robbery. The number of assaults on the subway, on the other hand, actually went up. Well, and also those 48 fewer crimes, they're talking about there's 48 fewer crimes this year versus last year. That's not, you don't know that was because there were more cops around. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe there were other reasons. Maybe it was harder to get a gun. Like, they're just saying there were 48 fewer major crimes this year or last year. But there were 1,900 more fare evasion arrests and 34,000 more summonses, up roughly 250%. That's about $4,200 in NYPD overtime pay per summons. $4,200 per summons. And what do you think the cost? They probably end up paying a fine for like $150 or something. And they pay $4,200 for each one. Anyway, I wanted to bring that story to you because it actually says a lot about the value systems disorder of our so-called leaders, where they think rather than decrease inequality, which has been proven to decrease crime, been proven to decrease so many other problems, like mental illness and depression and illness in general, and so many other problems decrease when inequality decrease, anxiety, stress, all those things. They all decrease when inequality decreases. Rather than decrease inequality, they just up the brutality and number of our police, of our brutal police system. They just increase that. They spend the money on that rather than spending on the money on helping people in any way. Um, and so it says a lot more about our system than just these idiots are spending $150 million to save $100,000. It says a lot about what they believe in and what they support in general.